Okay, so we're gonna do week 5, house design part 6. So I've opened the PDF tutorial right here. It's a 4-page tutorial, and it, by the way, this tutorial sort of it demonstrates the last new skills we need before going into the midterm exam. And after this, there's a review, and then we have the midterm. So I've opened up the PDF. I also have opened up the Revit file. It's right here. And I'm just going to dive right in. So the first thing it's asking us to do is to basically hide the room labels. So we've done that once before. We just do it by going into here, click the room, and it also, so the room has two parts, the room tags. One is the, excuse me, one is the notation that shows you the name and the number of the room. The other is kind of the volume of the room, that which is shown by that X that I'm hovering over. So I'm going to hold down Control, and you're going to see this little plus pop up next to the cursor. And when I'm holding Control, I'm also going to click that volume. And now I've selected both. And so I'm going to right click, say select all instances in entire project. Hopefully that worked. And now I'm going to say hide. Temporary hide, isolate, hide category. That's the best way to do it. Oh, it didn't do the volumes, so I'm going to try that one more time. Hide category, and now hopefully, yep, it looks like it hit all of them. If you want to see them, you can just hit the Reveal Hidden Elements button right there. Otherwise, I'm going to turn that off. And we can proceed. Okay, so go to the elevation view and change the foundation elevation to -3000. Set the base constraint of the foundation wall and columns to the foundation elevation. So really what it wants us to do is give this house a basement. And I'm going to start by changing the foundation elevation line to the height that we want, and then I'm going to basically attach the bottom of all the walls and columns to that new depth. So to do that, I'm going to go into an elevation. Let's pick the east one. And right now, as you can see, the foundation is set to -1000. I'm going to click that number, punch in -3000. Looks like these two pad footings are already attached to that. But now I'm going to start by just selecting like a little window like this that just only slices through the foundation walls. All of those first, and I'm going to change the base constraint to foundation. Hit apply, and it's not going to work yet. See, we've got an extra 1000 millimeters of depth there. It's because we have this base offset. So I'm going to change the base offset to 0, hit apply again, and it takes the footings with it. The footings are always attached to the base of the foundation walls. Now I'm going to take the columns and say select all instances in entire project. Picks all of them. I'm going to change the base to foundation, the base offset to 0, and hit apply. There we go. So that part is done. Now we need to I think so. Part 3 and 4, I think that repeats later in the tutorial. I'm not quite sure why this is occurring this early, so for now I'm going to ignore it, and I'm just going to skip to part 5 and 6. It's asking us to put a floor inside of the new basement that we've put in. So I'm just going to go back to Revit. I'm going to go to the foundation floor plan right here, and this is what it should look like. And now we've done this before, we're going to put a floor into here. So to do that, we're under the architecture tab, click floor. I'm going to say pick lines, and I'm going to pick the inside of the foundation walls, because typically when you're building a foundation, you kind of pour the footings first, the strip footings, then you put the either concrete block or poured foundation walls on top of that, and then inside of that box, inside of this box here that you kind of construct, you pour the basement floor. So the basement floor basically bumps up against the inner side of the foundation walls, and that's why I chose the interface of those walls. So for floor, we're going to say 200 millimeter generic floor. Sure, that's equivalent to about an 8-inch poured concrete slab. Looks good to me. I'm going to hit the check mark, finish it up. And now we're going to encounter a new problem. If we go to the section view, which there isn't one yet, so we have to make a section view, I think the floor is going to be equal at the same height as the footings, and we want to change that. So let's go back to here. We want a section view. So to create a section view, go to the View tab, pick Section, and just put one in. Hit Escape twice, and you can either find it in here under a new section drawing and double click on that, or for a shortcut, just double click anywhere on the black part of the arrow in here, and it should take you to the view. So here we are. Maybe I can color this a little bit to give some definition. This is the floor we've just put in, and you can see it's kind of overlapping the strip footings. So what I'm going to do is say height offset 200 millimeters, hit enter or apply, and it bumps it up a little bit. And now it's sitting on top of those strip footings, which is where we want it. And this, everything under it would essentially be either unexcavated soil, or 200 millimeters under the slab would be gravel and a waterproof layer, and then beneath that would be unexcavated soil. Anyway, back to the tutorial. Part 7. Okay. I guess we were supposed to cut that hole into the floor, so let's go back and do that now. In the vestibule area, modify the floor boundary as shown. So basically it's asking us to create kind of an opening in the floor on the ground level, on the first floor level, for a stair. Basically we're creating a stairwell. So I'm going to go back to the tutorial. I'm going to go to the, back to the Revit file, double click on level 1. And so to change the floor plate, the first thing I have to do is select it. And that can be a bit tricky because you've got all these walls and crazy stuff hovering over top of it. Let me see if I can give it a bit of definition here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hover over top of, well, I guess what I could do is I can click over here, and I know I'll select that because here I'm picking the edge of a floor plate. But let's say for some reason you're stuck, you can't find the edge. Just hover over a place where you know the edge exists underneath a bunch of other layers, and hit, I believe it's tab. So cycle through tab, and you'll see in the bottom corner here, when I'm doing that, it'll cycle through the different elements. So back to here, see it says walls, basic wall in the bottom left corner. We don't want the wall, we want the floor. So now I'm going to hit tab, chain of walls or lines, hit tab again, floors. That's the one we want, so I'm going to punch it. We've got the floor outline. I'm going to hit edit boundary, and we're back to those pink lines that indicate boundaries again. So here I'm just going to select a line and just draw the rectangle we want. I think we want it to be 2000 millimeters wide. Back to here. And now again, we need a closed shape, so I can't have a kind of a rectangle here. It has to end up being a U shape that joins into the larger shape of our outline. So what I need to do is cut that part out. So I'm going to pick this button here, which is split element. Click on that corner, click on that corner, hit escape twice, click that line, hit delete, and now we're good to go. So I'm going to hit the check mark. Let's say don't attach for now in regards to the walls, and now we have an opening in the floor there. So if you want to see it, click the 3D view up here, click camera, and just sort of line yourself up with that floor space. And in here, if you hold down shift and the scroll button on your mouse, it lets you kind of look up and down. Oops, I went too far. Okay, and again, this doesn't really show you much, so let's zoom out a bit, extend that window a little bit, and let's add a bit of color here just to give us some idea of what's going on. So anyway, we've got a hole in the floor, that much is clear. As to what's going on beneath it, I'm not quite sure. I think it's just it's sort of having trouble visualizing the basement floor we put in below. But in any case, we've got our hole in the floor, so we can now proceed with putting in a stairwell. Let me see if I can change this view a little bit to give us a better idea of what's going on. I guess we're happy with that. It looks legit. It looks like we got the hole in the floor done properly. So back to level 1. So we accomplished step 3 and 4, which we skipped earlier. And now we're on to steps 7 and 8. So we want to put a stair into that that hole for the stairwell that we created. So we're going to select the stair command. Ignore the stair by sketch part. I think that referred to an older version of CAD. I think it's automatically going to let you do a stair by sketch. Select the foundation for base constraint. Add 200. I'll explain what that means in a second. Okay, so let's go back. Hit escape. Make sure you're not in any other type of view. Go to architecture. And here's the stair command. This is the last really big thing we need to learn before the exam. So I'm going to click that. And now before I start, I want to make sure the levels, this is really important. The stair, people always get kind of messed up on a couple of parts of the stair. So one is sort of, the first part they always get stuck on is making sure they have the right levels to start with. See, right now it thinks I want to make a stair from level 1 to level 2. So from the ground floor to the second floor. And that's going to give me a different amount of stairs and a different length of the whole stair as a result, and everything gets kind of wonky. What we actually want is a stair from the basement to the ground floor. So base level will become the foundation level. Now, we have that floor concrete slab that we put in, but it's 200 millimeters above the foundation level. So I need to reflect that here as well. So for base level offset, I'm going to put 200. We want our first stair to start 200 millimeters above that foundation level elevation, so that it's starting on the surface of the concrete floor. Top level, I want that to be level 1. And I'm going to hit apply. Now, the actual run width, I think it's asking us to change it to 900. This is going to violate all kinds of codes and stuff like that, so I'm not going to do that. The reason the tutorial says it is because if you create the stair with 1,000 millimeters width, it's pretty tight, and the middle railing messes up. But we're not going to worry about that right now. The exam is not going to worry about what your railings look like. I'll show you how to fix that later. So we're going to leave it with 1,000 millimeter width. On to the next step. Oh, okay, so basically it tells us to draw the stair. Okay, so here's the next part where people get messed up. Don't worry about, I believe you're actually drawing the stair from bottom to top. So if I were to click here and move this way, I would be drawing stairs from the bottom all the way up. But don't worry about which way you're drawing the stairs. There's a really easy way to flip it after. What I would worry about is how many treads you put in each run. So this is what I'm gonna demonstrate by, instead of talking about it. So I'm gonna click here, and I'm gonna start moving up, and you can see it's kind of ghosting in the treads of the stair. And at the same time, it should be, it's not telling me how many are left. I guess I have to do my first click. So I'm gonna stop here, click, move to the other side, click here, and start sketching out the rest of the treads. Strange, it's not telling me how many more treads I have left. Usually there's a little running number at the bottom. I'll try to figure out why that is. But anyway, I'm going to put the other one here, and it doesn't matter if I go over the line. I'm just going to keep going because the software already knows how many treads I need to have. So I just want to give it as much space as it needs to finish that. And I know I've already done this before, so I know it's only 16 treads each, and we've got 8 on each run. So I'm going to click here, and that's going to finish the stair. I'm going to ask you to skip step 9 and 10. I mean, if you need to, you can obviously, 9 talks about moving the stair, and if you need to move the stair, you can. Okay, you can kind of grab it, and you can move it around to wherever you want it to be. I'm going to undo that, because it looked like it was in the right place. And so we're just going to skip step 9 and 10, and we're going to move to 11. 11 asks us to click the railing button, select the railing to 900 millimeters rectangular, and position it on the treads. Yeah, we're going to skip that step as well. We're just going to click the check mark and see what it gives us. So let's hit that green check mark. Highlighted lines overlap, lines may not form a closed loop. So that's it for testing about the railings, and I'll show you that in a second. So now that we have this, let's see what it looks like. There's two ways we can see it actually. One is we can look at it through a section, and I'm going to click on this section here. I'm going to hit that double thing to flip it so that we're now looking at the stair, because before we were looking in the opposite direction. Escape, double click on that. There's our stair. So it looks all right. It looks like it goes right up to the ground floor. It starts at the bottom floor. It's looking pretty good. I'm going to go back to level 1. I want to see it in 3D. I'm going to check it out. I can hear my kids coming in the background, so I'm going to try to make this snappy. make a second tutorial on top of it. Okay, it looks pretty good. You can kind of see it ghosted if you hover over it. Another thing you can do if you want, you can kind of hide this element as well temporarily. What the heck did I just do? Turn that off. Okay, here, click on the sunglasses, hide element, and that'll give you an idea of what the whole stair looks like. Now for a second, I'm going to unhide all of the elements. Reset temporary, hide, isolate, done. Okay, and now I think what we're going to want to do, first we want to flip the stair around. We want the top to start on the right side, and we want it to go down in kind of a, I guess it's a counterclockwise direction. And if I do that, I'm going to start by doing that, and then I'll show you where we need to add another railing. So I'm going to click here, flip stairs up direction. So click that little arrow down here, and it's going to flip it. It's going to protest again about those railings. But let's go back to that 3D view that we have here, the second one. Okay, so now it starts on the right side, but as you can see, there's still a bit of a hazard. You can fall off the side into the stairwell here, and similarly you can fall at this point here. So I'm going to go back to floor plan, and I'm going to go back to architecture, click the little arrow next to railing, and go sketch path. And now it basically just lets me draw more pink lines as to where I want the railing to be. So I want one railing to go here, and I want another railing to start from here and end there. And I'm just going to hit the check mark. Okay, so it's telling me that I can only do one railing at a time. So I'm going to hit escape, pick the second line, delete it. I've drawn one line. I'm going to hit the check mark. Let's go back to our 3D view. We can see now that there's a bit of railing here. And now I want another piece of railing here. So I'm going to go back to level 1. Architecture, railing, sketch path. From here to here. Check mark. Back to our view. Good. Now, the stair should have another railing going down this tread, and we will worry about that in later lessons, but for the exam, this is sufficient. The fact that you know how to put a stair in and add a railing to the outside is sufficient, and we'll worry about the details of railings and stuff like that later on. And that's it, I believe, for this tutorial. It's asking us to place a few extra sections in here just to be able to see the stair. We already kind of managed with just one section, but if you want, you can put another section line in. This talks about the railings, which we already placed in there, and the 3D view. Okay, so that basically completes this tutorial, and that shows you how to do all of the things you need for the midterm exam. After this, I'll upload another tutorial showing how to do the review for the midterm, and that will be the practice assignment as well.